It's the joy of an Italian pizzeria at home. Dr. Oetker Ristorante Pizza, with a thin and crispy crust that's topped full of flavour. Dr. Oetker Ristorante. Buy today. Enjoy tonight.
Here's some great news from Darren and Chris at ACET Transport Solutions. They've just added crane trucks on their fleet. These rigid trucks have their own crane for safe loading and unloading, perfect for the big stuff. With over 20 years of experience and over 200 vehicles in their fleet, there's plenty of rigid crane trucks on deck ready for your next delivery. Whatever the load, ACET Transport Solutions will handle your delivery safely.
Don't just send it, ACET.
Don't just send it, ACET.
It's the show that's given away over 1.6 million. And it's the show that makes dreams become real. Deal or no deal, 6 o'clock weeknights on 10 and 10 Play.
With more stores close to home and everyday low prices, great food lives at Foodland, the mighty South Aussies.
Rowie and Timmy G on the FIVEAA Sports Show.
Good afternoon to you. It's 5 minutes after 4. This is Footy Friday, all thanks to Rusden Wines in the Blackgut Shiraz, up in the Barossa Valley, home of the Blackgut Shiraz, of course, rusdenwines.com.au. It's a sports show with a bit of a difference this afternoon. Welcome to 5AA. Sam Tugwell in one chair, Tim Ginniver in the other. Rowie still unwell for the time being. Tim, good afternoon to you.
Yeah, g'day, Sam. You're right. Scott Camporelli, a late withdrawal as well in the warm-up. So it's just you and I at the moment, mate. And, of course, as we know, a global outage affecting a lot of businesses around the country at the moment, and including ourselves. So we'll still be able to get your unique homestyle food texts and feed off of those, but at the current moment, we won't be able to take any calls.
Yes, so it's a bit of a tough time for a lot of businesses out there. You might at your own workplace be experiencing the issues that have been occurring. So just to keep you up to date, if you've just jumped in your car or you just tuned in to what's happening, there's been an attack basically on a global cybersecurity firm, which is Australia-wide and internationally at this stage. It's affecting a lot of media. It's affecting radio stations like ourselves. I mean, Foxtel at the moment's being one of the major ones. There's a few banks, there's shops, there's all sorts of different businesses around the country and the world that are being affected by this. So it is some sort of cyber security attack. We don't know a whole lot of detail right now, but we'll keep you abreast of it with Mel Usher and Stacey Lee during the afternoon when it comes to hand.
Absolutely. It's still going to be our Footy Friday, our Rusden's Footy Friday, and we'll still hopefully have an opportunity to give away a magnificent bottle of Blackgut Shiraz,
yes,
which will be awesome. But the Crows, of course, taking on the Bombers tonight, 7:10, that'll start. I tell you what, it's been a journey for them. Haven't won the last 7. Bombers on an absolute roll. We know it was very close here at Adelaide Oval when the infamous Sam Draper diving upon the ball and could have been paid holding the ball. I'm pretty sure Nixie's not happy about that one. But yeah, they're getting closer and closer to getting a result against the Bombers. Maybe tonight's the night.
They certainly will be hoping so. So it's been a long time. Their record at Marvel Stadium isn't all that great of a recent time either. 2 wins from their 8 games there. Matthew Nix did speak about in his press conference yesterday a redemption.
We look at a lot of the games where we've played against teams in the past. We always go back, even if it's 12 months. And we look at what we did well and what we didn't do well, areas we've got to be better at. And the last couple of games of Essendon, we got a few things wrong, especially last season at Marvel. So we're comparing that and doing a lot this week on that game because they really did. They put us to the sword last time early. You know, we came back in the second half, but we'll always use previous games. I take it you're talking about the Sam Draper's. We move on pretty quick from that sort of thing. There are a lot of other areas we need to get right in that game.
Yeah, so, well, he's right. It did come down to that last moment, but he was right. Probably early on they need to do a few things differently, and I'm sure they'll try and adjust that for tonight. But look, Riley Thilthorpe came back. Will he actually play a full game? Let's have a listen to the coach.
Yeah, Riley's ready, we believe. Doesn't mean he will play a full game, because we thought last week was... And we talk about that player being an impact player for us or a finisher. I thought he played that role to perfection, really. Doesn't always work out that way, but last week was a good example of what we were after.
Got Scotty Burns coming on later, of course, assistant coach and looks after the forward line. Going to ask him about would Tex out. How will they line up? How tall will they be? Just when the ball hits the ground, we spoke to Campo yesterday, of course, his concern was if there's too many tools in there when it hits the ground, Essendon are very mobile, could perhaps grab hold of that and transfer it really well down the other end. So just might ask the question how they're going to counteract that. Should it be a tall forward line?
Yeah, definitely. The ruck battle will be interesting too, just quickly. So Riley O'Brien in there is their main ruck. They've got Thilthorpe and Himmelberg that might share it in the forward line, but they're two mainstays for Essendon. Todd Goldstein's back in the side. He's been rested the last few weeks, so he's a huge in, and he'll ruck for most of the day. And then Sam Draper, who can float forward as well, so they'll have to defend him as much up forward as well as in the ruck too.
Yeah, I thought Riley O'Brien was excellent last week, and it was a real battle that he had to take up on his own, and he did really well. And I think this will be another big test for the big man, but I think he likes it, and it gives them the flexibility of having more mobile unit on a fast deck, and we know that that's probably, like you said, 2 out of 8 is not a good scoreboard, so they'll try and adjust that.
Yeah, and their last visit to Marvel though was a win. It was Carlton back in round 5. It was their first win of the year. It was a bit of a restart for them. They were able to kick off and get their first win and sort of refine that form, that fast-paced game that they love to play, that attacking brand. If they can see a bit of that again tonight, they might be a chance against the Dons.
All right, we'll see how that goes. Of course, Port Adelaide taking on Richmond Saturday night in what is a crucial game. They've got to win this one, put this one in the bank, and it's a pretty young Richmond side, so to get this job done, they have to do it. They've got a few outs, Finlayson, Marshall out, so Ken, well, he might be looking at a smaller forward line.
Yeah, a little bit, clearly from size point of view, a little bit smaller, but we've still got, with George coming in and Charlie and Lordy in there, so we're not certainly undersized, so we'll be okay, and with what's maybe predicted with weather, it mightn't be a bad thing.
Yeah, so you'll have a bit of a play with that, depending on how much rain he gets, I reckon, depending on that. Just for those out there, we know we're having cyber issues right across the country, and you may be thinking, can't call in and they're not answering the phones. Well, that's not working at the moment, but you can watch the live stream, the Foodland live stream. Typical Foodland. Never let you down.
They are brilliant.
Never let you down. You can still watch it right there.
Live on Facebook. If you go to the FIVEAA Facebook page, we're live streaming right now, and YouTube as well. You can go there. It's just search FIVEAA. You'll find the stream right now if you're able
look, it'll be entertaining viewing because there's going to be a lot of people floating through here. It's going to be excellent. Hey, Todd Marshall mentioned he was out. Just get a bit of an update from Ken.
Completely different. Hip is in good shape. The problem he had last year was a hip, and he had a repair done on that, and in fact we did a surveillance scan on it only last week, so we have good knowledge. So it's in really good shape. So it's long term. There's no issue. It's a new injury, and it's one that he should recover from reasonably quickly.
So that's the update on Todd Marshall. I don't know how long that's going to be, but we'll see how that one plays out. Sounds like it's not the hip that he had problems with last year. Radigalea comes back though, and there's a lot of conjecture around, will he play forward, will he play back, what's going to happen? Well, here's the coach on that.
Good thing about Sava is that he has got flexibility. I know you asked that question quite a bit. Does he, will he, can he? He can play ruck, he can play forward, he can play back. Ultimately, we brought him to the club, and I've said this plenty of times, is to play back, and that's where we expect him to play more often than not. Doesn't mean he won't play elsewhere.
Okay, so there you go. I would predict, if I had some money on it, I think they'll still play him back. Yeah. But we've got Matt Lobie coming on, so we'll be able to ask that question of him and see if he can give us an answer. Sounds like Ken wasn't given one, so keeping the cards close to the chest there for sure. So,
absolutely.
Get involved, and how are you going to get involved? Because you can't call the number, but you can. Text us on the unique Homestyle Food text line. You
certainly can. So that number is 0448 08 1395. So we'll get to your text messages throughout the show and we'll read them out. And we're definitely looking forward to having a few guests in here tonight. So Warren Treadrow is going to join us at about 5 o'clock, which will be great. He'll be able to give us all the information around the games this weekend. We've got Mel Usher, who's going to come in every now and then as well to give us as much news update as possible around these outages that are happening, which we at FIVEAA are battling with at the moment, so just bear with us during the show today. And Stacey Lee will also be here, our afternoon's announcer. She'll be able to come through and give us some information too. Coming up sports-wise, Scotty Burns will speak to us from the Crows and Matthew Lobie from Port Adelaide, so we get your team information as well.
Absolutely. But also, we've still got that bottle of Rusden's Black Guts on the line, so please text in, give us your text so we can feed off of that and get that happening. And of course, I've still got locker room tickets to give away as well.
Oh,
yeah. Big game.
We'll
Saturday night, 5AA locker room.
So best text messages tonight, your interaction, you can be right in the running to win those Port Adelaide locker room tickets tomorrow night. It is currently 13 minutes after 4. We'll take a quick break shortly here on 5AA. This is the Sports Show. Tim Ginniver and Sam Tugwell.
Are you eagerly awaiting a relocation sale to stock up on four-wheel drive and camping gear? Great news! TJM Clovelly Park have just opened their doors at their new address, 115 Sheriffs Road, Ranella. They're still clearing out heaps of ex-display stock and everything must go. Get in quick and give the crew at TJM Nailsworth a call to find out what's up for grabs at both locations during their relocation sale on now.
She's been by your side from the beginning. You've raised a family together, supported one another's dreams, and when things got tough, you got through it together. So this anniversary or birthday, express your gratitude and love with a handmade statement jewellery piece from Bell & Brunt, a family-owned custom jeweller with over a century of experience. Celebrate your partner with Bell & Brunt, James Place, City. Visit bellandbrunt.com.au. Crafted for generations.
Audi's tender porterhouse steak is now only $5.99 for a 200-gram pack. And there's nothing better than grilling this buttery cut over an open flame. Unless it's 2 a.m., you're in the woods, and that is not good. Audi. Good different.
Experience the joy of an Italian pizzeria at home. Dr. Oetker Ristorante Pizza. With a thin and crispy crust that's topped full of flavour. Dr. Oetker Ristorante. Buy today. Enjoy tonight.
Here's some great news from Darren and Chris at AFL Transport Solutions. They've just added crane trucks on their fleet. These rigid trucks have their own crane for safe loading and unloading, perfect for the big stuff. With over 20 years of experience and over 200 vehicles in their fleet, there's plenty of rigid crane trucks on deck ready for your next delivery. Whatever the load, AFL Transport Solutions will handle your delivery safely.
Don't just send it, ace it.
Don't just send it, ace it.
It's the show that's given away over 1.6 million. And it's the show that makes dreams become real. Deal or no deal. 6 o'clock weeknights on 10 and 10 Play.
Welcome back. This is 5AA, and you're listening to usually Rowie and Timmy G. Sam Tugwell stepping in for Rowie today. On this Friday, it's currently 15 minutes after 4. Thank you for your company today. Stacey Lee joins the pair of us in the studio because there is a little bit of a different sound today because of some issues network-wise, and cybersecurity is at the heart of it. Stacey, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, guys. If you're out on the roads at the moment, or if you've tried to purchase anything at a supermarket, or you've tried to go into a bank, you know about these problems. But maybe if you're at home or if you're at work and you're not affected by it, you haven't heard about this yet. So there is a major Microsoft outage that's happening. It's affecting worldwide IT systems. So it's not just here in Adelaide. It's affecting all types of different media outlets. The ABC, Foxtel, Sky News is affected. Obviously here at 5AA, we're surrounded by computer screens that have big blue sad faces on them, which is never what you want to see when you're in a live radio environment. It's affecting banks, ANZ, CommBank, National Bank, Bendigo Bank, the Bank of Queensland, supermarkets, Woolies and Coles. I've seen pictures online of baskets just being turned upside down and put on the conveyor belts just to say we're not open.
Yep.
Don't try and come through. Some customers have been told if you've got cash, you can come through, but we can't take digital payments at the moment. 5AA, if you're listening to us, we're on the analogue stream, but our digital systems are affected. Australia Post, Google, Amazon, Optus, Telstra. So find another big name company in Australia and you will not find. They're all affected at the moment. It started just after 2 o'clock today.
Yep. So we're also live on the 5AA live stream, of course, for those who are unable to access us at the moment. We're getting lots of text messages saying DAB's down. That's part of the digital situation. So unless you're able to listen to Analog on 1395, we are also on Facebook and YouTube. Just search 5AA. Our live stream, thanks for Foodland, is operating strong.
And just be aware of traffic issues that might be out there. We've had a text message come in from Ryan at Mount Barker. He just said, look, huge traffic on Glen Osmond Road, multiple flashing lights up ahead. So just be careful. There's probably issues out there with the light system as well. So
that's going to be an issue. Now, it's, as I say, this is a global issue. There are reports that it's affecting the 911 emergency number in the US.
Wow.
It's not affecting 000 at this stage. I just got off the phone from SA Police. They're not affected. 000 is still working. working, or the 13444 number for non-emergencies. You can still call SA Police, they're not affected. SA Ambulance Service as well says they're not affected, so 000 is still working and they're dispatching, so they're not having any internal issues at all. They can still get ambos out to people when they need. I also just got off the phone from the Weather Bureau because we've got severe weather warnings in place this afternoon.
Just in case it wasn't busy enough.
In case that wasn't enough, the front of the storm is now hitting us. We're seeing the winds pick up here in the city right now. So the Weather Bureau says that main rain band has moved through. There was about 10 to 15 mil of rain that dropped earlier in the day. If you got stuck in it, you knew all about it. That was in Adelaide and the Ranges. But the storm front is coming through now. So that's going to bring strong winds with it, potential hail, and that will continue for some hours. At this stage, Adelaide Airport is not affected. I've had a look on their website. All of the flights that were expected to take off and land have done so. But I'm seeing reports from other states. Canberra Airport, Sydney Airport apparently have some flights that are affected. So at the moment, Adelaide Airport is not. If
you look at the old weather band and see when it's coming, what do you think's the peak?
This is the hard bit, Timmy, because it's not rain. Right. You know, on the radar, you see the rain coming through.
Yes, true.
We've had the rain come through. This is the wind, wind and the potential hail. So it's not really much more rain that's expected, according to the Bureau. This is going to be those really strong, gusty winds.
So if you can get home before it.
Yeah. But although, look at that radar.
Let's have a look. That looks busy.
Yeah, there's still a lot coming around the northern suburbs especially. Right. So please stay safe out there on the roads. That's the main message to start with. If you can get home and safe, that's priority number one, of course. But just be mindful as well of a lot of businesses. If you're looking to make a stop by the shops on the way home, there could be some early closures for businesses around the place too, because this is an unusual time for a lot of people.
Service stations are closing. There are a number of them that have just put cones out the front, said don't bother coming in. If they can't take digital payments, they can't get connected to their computer systems. So if you're not out on the roads at the moment, it's probably not a good time to head out on the roads. And if you are, like you say, Sammy, take it easy, put the lights on, slow it down, don't rush.
So if you can stay home, stay home. If you can get home quickly, do that.
Yeah, but don't try and get there too quickly.
No. No,
that's right.
Yes. All
in a responsible manner.
All within the limits that we set for ourselves.
Yeah.
It certainly is. So make sure you're listening, and we'll give you all the live updates as we go. Thank you so much, Stacey, for helping us out. She'll be doing her best to keep us across everything throughout this afternoon's drive program. Our text line number 0448 08 1395 is the way you can get in contact with us. So we'll be reading throughout some of your text messages throughout. There's a text message come here saying lots of flights grounded at Adelaide Airport at the moment due to the Microsoft outage. So that might be starting to hopefully not affect too much.
But I think Stace put that call in.
I did. So I've put a call into them, and I mean, maybe they haven't been able to update the website. The website said a flight even 20 minutes ago took off, but we'll see. I'll make another call.
No, that's great.
And I'll come and give you an update as soon as I have it.
It's going to be very, I suppose, flexible and agile, our show today. We're going to have to
Moving
move
quickly.
as best we can and give you the most recent
I think
updates.
The term is fluid.
Yep.
It'll be a fluid situation in lots of ways, Sam, and we'll just keep playing with the river.
Well, this is certainly the interesting part, isn't it? I think for years we've always talked about the reliance of internet. And things like this. Well, this is the sort of impact it starts to have, doesn't it, when everything is so computer networked.
Well, do you have a wallet?
Is there any cash in it?
Do you have any cash in it?
No.
So, I do.
I expect you to have some. I expect you to.
Here you go. Cash is king again, my friend.
So I got stuck at Woolies last weekend, and obviously it wasn't this big worldwide outage, but I was there with my mum, and we do a big shop together once a month, and we were there. The whole trolley was filled up, and we got to the register, and they said, we can't take payments, digital payments, we can only take cash. And we looked at each other and smiled and said, we're Greek women, we've got cash. So we were okay. But I just thought, wow, there were so many people that had trolleys next to us that couldn't check out. And that's exactly what's happening now. Coles and Woolies are just shutting their registers because they're severely impacted by this.
Tell you what, it's the not knowing at the moment just how long this will be before the issues are cleared up. And that's probably where people sort of go, well, gee, imagine a life without it.
That's exactly
right.
What
is going to be happening in the future and the like. So I think it sustains cash in our society, actually.
Absolutely. When you get into these situations, haven't heard of any ATMs being affected yet, but I think, and please don't do it, but in these sorts of situations, this is where people go, all right, maybe I'll go to an ATM and I'll just try and get access to some of my money, and then that's when we see.
But also,
that's right.
Start to break down.
If the internet's not working, ATM's probably not working.
That's true.
That's exactly right. So, yeah, please just be, I think, patient as well out there today.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Be patient on the roads especially. There's a lot of water on the roads. Once again, that intersection at Fullerton Road and Glen Osmond Road looks like it's got a fair bit of water on it, so it looks a little bit flooded, so be careful there, and there's probably other intersections like it.
Yeah. All right. We might start going towards a break, and we'll come back with some more information shortly. The number, if you want to text into the show, 0448 08 1395. That's our unique Homestyle Foods text line, so we appreciate any interaction you're able to help us with. You're our eyes and ears out there, Adelaide, so please help us out if there is anything you're noticing around town and on your way home, of course, traffic-wise as well. We'd love to hear from you. So we'll get you involved in the show shortly. We've got, of course, a little bit of sport to come. Warren Treadray on the show, and we have Scott Burns and Matthew Loby from both the Crows and Port Adelaide. It is currently 24 minutes after 4.
It's our first Christmas in July at Wayville Hyundai, and we want to make it special. We're inviting you to join us by popping a gift under our Christmas tree so we can pass it on to Kickstart for Kids. Plus, we're donating $100 from every car sold all month. Head to our website to see how you can help make a difference. Christmas in July at Wayville Hyundai, Goodwood Road opposite the showground. Change the way you Hyundai at Wayville Hyundai.
The way we connect with listeners is changing. Radio, podcast, streaming, in-store, and the way to connect your business with millions of Aussie listeners every week is at Amplify. August 27 and 28 at Jama's Restaurant, Bowden. Tickets are free, but you need to register at audiorsvp.com.au. Hear how audio can change the way you do business for the better. Register now at audiorsvp.com.au.
Make it, build it, live it. It's the philosophy Rendition Homes have believed in for over 30 years. To make it, right from the start, you're involved with all design, colours and selections of your dream home. To build it, Rendition Homes use only the best quality artisan tradespeople to craft your dream home. And to live it, simple. It's where you get to enjoy family life that you've always wanted in your dream home. That's make it, build it, live it. The Rendition way. renditionhomes.com.au.
Will retirement living suit you? You're invited to AVEO's free open home events across Adelaide from the 23rd to the 25th of July to get a sneak peek of the lifestyle you could enjoy. Come along with family and friends to explore all our communities have to offer. You can inspect our display homes, discover our social activities, meet some of the residents, and chat with our friendly team. Take the first step and search AVEO Open Home to RSVP today.
NRG Solar knows that solar isn't just about panels. It's about future-proofing. Start your journey to self-sufficiency today. Be the visionary. Take charge. NRG Solar's new warehouse is fully stocked with a stunning range of wholesale solar and battery equipment. See it for yourself. Discover the power of solar at NRG Solar. Call 1300 858 160 or visit nrgsolar.com.au and make tomorrow brighter. That's nrgsolar.com.au.
CMAX Clinical Research is investigating a potential treatment to help millions of people affected by autoimmune conditions. But we can't do this alone. We need proud South Australians like you to join us and make a difference. If you're aged 18 to 55 and have no significant health concerns, you may be eligible. Once you complete the trial, you'll be paid for your time. Ready to help advance tomorrow's healthcare? Visit cmax.com.au today. That's cmax.com.au.
Always informative. 5AA. Always Adelaide.
Welcome back. It's 28 minutes after 4 here on 5AA. You're listening in. Tim Ginniver and Sam Tugwell sitting in the drive show this afternoon while Rowie is away just for another evening. Of course, you can be listening on the analogue station dial, of course, of 1395 AM if you are. Our DAB digital variety is unfortunately out at the moment, so if you are able to listen via 1395, or you can go to our Foodland live stream, of course. We're on Facebook and YouTube at the moment, Tim, which is doing a brilliant job. You can see us in the studio. We are battling away with what is a global cyber outage.
Yes, exactly. So it's not easy, but if you can text in on 0448 08 1395, we'll try and read those out as much as possible as people get aware of what's happening. And I think, for most people with DAB, either in their car or on their radios these days, they're probably going, where's 5AA? What's going on here? Get back to the old analogue, and we're still appearing there. So, and of course, Foodland live stream. The AFL last night threw out both the Toby Bedford case, the Charlie Cameron case, and we all sort of went, wow, sanity has prevailed. Now, they got them on the technicality, if you like, of an error in law, but I love the AFL statement that came out, and it's quite extensive about why and the cases and what's not. But in bold, the AFL have stated, over the course of the season of 2024, there have been 18,508 tackles so far, with only 7 dangerous tackle suspensions. This means that 0.04% of tackles have resulted in suspensions, with 99.96% of the tackles applied effectively determined not to be dangerous tackles. Now, when you put out a stat like that, which is quite an enormous number, you sort of go, oh, what's all the fuss about? Well, it's not that. It's sort of like saying, 7,000 people crossed the road and 2 got run over. What was the specifics of those 2? That's what we're looking at. We're looking at the specifics of these 2 that were charged, given 3 games, and you go, well, hang on, no, they didn't do anything wrong.
The penalty didn't seem to fit the crime this week, did it?
Correct. And that's where I think everybody was getting a bit up in arms and the like, and going, okay, there was a accident that occurred through a natural tackle of Australian rules football, and somebody got concussion out of it. Not deliberate, not dirty, not 2-action tackle, all of that. I think the AFL have done an excellent job at getting that protocols and rules around that to say that we'll try and remove that, because we all know and take the concussion issue very seriously. What happened last night was we just got a bit of logic into the game, which I think everybody was really pleased with, to say, okay, good, now let's work about again, just keeping to develop a tackling technique, which I will touch on a bit later after we hear from our good friend Mel.
I think there is some good news on the other side of this. Let's hear from Mel Usher in the newsroom.
The news and information that matters. This is 5AA News, always Adelaide.
Good afternoon, Mel Usher with the 5AA News headlines. Microsoft says a major service outage is affecting users worldwide. The errors have hit businesses, airlines, supermarkets and broadcasters, including 5AA. Some of the companies affected include Telstra and Optus, the ANZ, CommBank, the NAB, Australia Post and Google. In other news, there's a severe weather warning for parts of the state. Donald Trump has addressed the RNC. And in sport, the Crows are in Melbourne. They face the Bombers tonight at Marvel. The 5AA weather, rain and windy this afternoon. Showers and winds easing tomorrow, 15. Right now it's 11. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Thank you, Mel. That's what we are experiencing right now are some major outages. So we will keep you on top of all the information that's coming throughout the afternoon. We'd love your I suppose your eyes and ears to help us out as well this afternoon, because there is a little bit going on around the place. Our text line number, thanks to Unique Homestyle Foods, if you can help us out, 0448 08 13 95. That's the number to get involved with today. So it is basically making life a little bit harder for us on the show today. We had a handful of sports interviews and topics we wanted to talk about today. We'll try our best to filter it through, but it is making it a little bit more challenging for us today. So as we've said a few times, please make sure you're tuning in, and we'll give you as many updates as possible. You can watch on the Foodland live stream all the way through the program today. Some news coming through. The AFL game between Essendon and the Crows tonight could be called off due to this worldwide outage. This is some major news. If not resolved, Essendon believes the Microsoft outage will impact fans who have mobile phone tickets to get into the footy tonight. So we'll keep you across that as well. That is a major development across the AFL.
Unbelievably, we just got a text saying, well, that's going to make it pretty difficult at Marvel Stadium tonight. And it's a fair call, isn't it? Because how would you make any purchases, even if you were able to get into the gate? Because your ticket was on your phone, how are you then going to be able to purchase anything? So it's a great call, and I've got to say that it's maybe because I'm of a 50-plus audience, I always do both. I take it on my phone and I take it printed. And I don't know why, I just have this comfort in the printed ticket.
Yeah.
And you know, I've asked
Yes,
for
you
my
have.
car park to
Yep.
Adelaide Oval. I say, can you print it, please?
Yes.
That is my mentality. Is I always feel like that's my go-to if something goes wrong. So well played, and thank you very much for the text, because, yeah, it's going to be a difficult one. We'll keep you up to date with that and see whether that Adelaide and Essendon game goes ahead, because if it does not, they'll have to reschedule.
Yeah.
Maybe on Sunday, or
well, the Crows are
trying to fit a gap.
That's right. The Crows are currently there in Melbourne, so
yeah, they're there.
Essendon can go home. That's not such a big deal. But the Crows
Yes.
will have to find a way to stay in Victoria overnight, or maybe for the weekend, or for however long they're able to wait for the game to be played. Now, that would be a tough thing. I mean, first of all, problems in a small way, but it is a real problem. These are real humans who are having to basically change their lives for a day or so if things have to be moved around.
If this was solved, later tonight, say midnight, it was solved, okay? How will we fit it in? So 1:15, Giants take on Suns, and that game is in Sydney. So, okay, you might be able to overlap that one.
Yeah.
There's also, at the same time, one at Marvel. So there's an issue straight away. And then there's one at the G at 4 o'clock. I don't think you're able to play in Melbourne tomorrow unless you played and clashed with the Port Richmond game at the same time. So 7 p.m. you could do a clash, and that would make it difficult as well. So I tell you what, it will cause a little bit of chaos for the AFL as well to try and reschedule that the Crows v Essendon game.
So that is some major news coming out right now. So a little bit tough at the moment. We'll continue to get to your text messages as well. There's a few coming in. This one from Nick, who says, disaster area at our local shops at the moment. Please be patient with customer service workers. Please. That is definitely great advice. That's what we're asking at the moment. There's a couple here who are saying, and just a background. So this is a Microsoft outage that's being caused at the moment by a breach, I suppose, or an attack on a company called CrowdStrike, who are a corporation in the US, and they've basically got tools inside these computers, these Microsoft computers, which have become compromised, I suppose, or at least attacked, so that they don't work the same without their operations. So that's where this is currently happening. It's affecting media, it's affecting supermarkets and shops, it's affecting banks around the world. It's anything basically that uses Microsoft at the moment that is pretty important. So anything you can help us with at the moment. Of course, there's going to be some weather out there too on the road, so please be careful if you're driving around.
Yeah, I did find out that the Fullerton Road and Glen Osmond Road intersection, that's actually a burst water main.
Great.
So not to do with the cyber issues. But still be careful.
That is, of course, good information. Let's talk some Port Adelaide. They are, at the moment, playing against Richmond tomorrow night at Adelaide Oval. Let's hear from Matthew Lobe.
The Richmond Football Club Saturday night at Adelaide Oval in a crucial game. And we've got, the ruck coach and development coach, Matty Lobe. How are you, Matty?
Good, Timmy. How you going?
Excellent. Look, another 6-day break. And I know that they aren't ideal, these breaks, but what were you able to get out of your main session?
Yeah, still a pretty quality session. I think sometimes the players don't mind the 6-day break because they only have to train once during the week. And they make that a really good one, and that's what they put their focus into. So we were still able to train, what our best footy looks like, and pretty good going into the game tomorrow night.
Spoke to Tyson Goldsack and during the week, and Miles Bergman, and we were talking about the way that we attempted to move the ball out of defence, and it was sort of decided, it was a bit slow, it was a bit stagnant, and we'd like to get that a bit quicker. Was that able to be trained during the week?
Yeah, look, we always try and train our ball movement during the week. Now, one of the things we're talking about at the moment is being flexible with how we play and being able to move the ball in multiple ways, which you have to do based on the opponent you play and in game how it's going. So the guys did do that well this week, and you go into a game expecting the opposition to defend you really well, so you've got to be prepared for that.
A couple of injuries we probably didn't need. Jeremy Finlayson out, Marshall out. Farrell, was that a hammy at training? Did he do that during the week, or did he have something?
No, we think it was he played the whole game out. So he said he felt a bit of awareness in the game, but it's obviously not bad enough for him to pull the pin in game. So we're hoping, it's really short term and he's all right next week, but not, just going to have to play it as it goes for him.
Yeah, a bit of a bummer because he's had a very good season. The first time we took on the Tigers over there, they had a really good first half, and Shai Bolton was, he had a massive first half and a bit off the chain. Willem Drew went to him and did a great job, I thought, got us back into the game. Will we look to shut that down straight away or roll the dice and see how we go?
I think we're going to be pretty ready to go to stop him. The way they play, though, they can give different looks, so they can bring forwards up to stoppage, and that can be him or it can be Baker or one of the other dangerous forwards. So it really depends what look they give us early to how we play that. We know Drew is such a good defensive midfielder for us, so we know we can go to that.
I heard Ken in the press speak about Radical Air. They asked the question, and I thought Ken was at his best in not giving the answer. So I'm going to ask you straight up, is he forward or back?
I'm happy to say, he's played back the whole year, so that's his strength. We know he can swing forward, but I think if you're a betting man, you'd probably say he's going to play backline.
So we then maybe a little bit smaller in our forward setup this week?
I think with the outs that we've had, you look a bit smaller. We've still got Mitch Georgiades coming in who can play tall or small. Charlie and Lord, who are big, strong forwards for us. So I don't think that's a concern going in for us. We want to bring a great contest, whether it's talls or smalls in the forward line, and give ourselves a chance to score.
I thought the battle between Jordan Sweet and Ned Moore was really entertaining last week. Really like the battle that went on. This week it's different again. I mean, Nan Curvis, a real experienced ruckman, probably one of the best in the comp. How do you speak to Geordie about maybe the different approach to him, because he's a completely different ruckman?
Yeah, he is. We chatted this morning, and you go in against an opponent who's arguably the best player in their team. He's their captain. He's smaller for a ruckman at the moment, but he's so aggressive and strong and experienced that he can have a really big influence. So for Geordie, it's about matching him with the aggression so that then he can let his reach go. And he's taller than him. He's got really long arms, Sweetie, which helps him with the hit outs. And then it's also respecting him around the ground with what Mankervis can do with his follow-up and his spread.
Yeah, he does that very well, doesn't he? And I suppose he's a great example of what other ruckmen can follow in the way they do follow-up play. And he becomes another clearance player, doesn't he, for him?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the moment there's a lot of ruckmen that are impacting in clearances, and he's done that for a long time now. When I'm working with our young rucks and Dante Vicentini, I look at someone like Nankervis and think that's what he could end up being.
Which would be pretty good. Hey, Bigger Barn Solder, his progress, how's that going?
Yeah, he's back running now. He's really had to go slowly to get himself right. We're hoping it speeds up from here, but we also want him to look after his body and get it right so that the back end of the year he can still play a few games that are him playing at his best. So again, like we always say it, but you're going to have to treat it week by week with how quickly he progresses.
And I see we've got a young fella, big fella coming in from basketball background, Category B rookie. Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, Jacob Moss. So we've had a look at him for a while now. He hasn't played footy, obviously, for a long time. I haven't seen him play basketball, but I've been told he was very talented. I've seen him jump, and he's got a humongous leap on him. So we might steal him for a little bit of ruck work, I think. But we're looking at him filling a key back role at this stage, and he's one of those kids that, I mean, like a lot of young players are, very hungry to learn, really competitive, which is a great starting point. And when you're close to 200 and you're athletic, it's a good starting point to work with. So excited to work with him.
Well, I think maybe 22, 23 year ago, we experimented with a basketballer that turned out all right, big brogues. So hopefully it's a similar path.
That would be pretty nice. Premiership ruckman for us.
That'd be awesome, mate. Hey, keep up the good. All the best against the Tigers tomorrow night. We'll be there and making sure that we get the chocolates.
Thanks, Timmy.
Matty Lobe, our guest, looking after the big men at Port Adelaide and developing the young talent.
Wonderful to hear from the Port Adelaide Football Club. It is 18 minutes to 5. Lots of updates coming through as we speak, and thank you for being patient with us today. If you're listening on the Foodland live stream at the moment, we're on Facebook and YouTube, or you can hear us on 1395 AM analog. Stacey Lee's come in with a bit of an update on a few things around Adelaide.
Yeah, the federal government, thanks Sam, has recalled an urgent meeting tonight. So the Cyber Security Coordinator will meet with the National Emergency Mechanism Group. I have no idea who the members of that group are, but it sounds serious. The National Emergency Mechanism Group will meet very soon, and it will be chaired by the National Emergency Management Agency. I'll do some investigations and work out who is in that group and who is a part of that agency. The government says they're working closely with the National Cyber Security Coordinator as this outage unfolds. 000 services across the country are not affected, as we've been reporting here on 5AA. 000 is not affected in South Australia, so that is good news. As the information stands, they believe the outage relates to a technical issue with a third-party software platform which is employed by the companies that are affected by this. And we've got that list of the huge list of
So
companies.
like they're trying to do an update and it's been, sort of gone wrong or something like that, is it?
It sounds like the big companies that are affected, ours included, employ this third-party cyber security, which, as most companies do these days, have some form of cyber security. If you don't, you're probably being left behind. And something's happened on their end, and now everyone's
booted out
in it. Yep.
Okay, so
if you aren't using that, which it sounds like a lot, and this is what we're getting a few text messages on, so we thank you so much from a few people that are in the know. Basically, if you don't have this software or this cybersecurity used in your Microsoft, so it might be a personal laptop or something, and you're not attached to this, your computer will work fine. But because of these major businesses, like you were saying, Stacey, that use this global software, that's the reason why there's outages. Yeah,
and look, I think everyone's mind when something like this happens goes to hacking or something like this. They're the National Cyber Security Coordinator, so this is the person in charge of national cyber security, has said there is no information to suggest that it is a cyber security incident.
Okay.
At this stage, there's no information to suggest that there is a hacking here, but of course, these things take time to get the full detail, so we will bring you up to date. Adelaide Airport has put out a statement saying they are currently affected by this outage, and it's impacting some of the check-in procedures for some airlines at some of the terminals. We don't have too many terminals down at the airport, so it sounds like both of the terminals that we do have are affected. So passengers flying this afternoon are advised to allow extra time, check in online if you can, and contact individual airlines. So it really is dependent on which airline you're with. If they've got this third-party cybersecurity firm, they might be affected. So you've really got to check in with your individual airlines if you're heading to the airport. I just rang my sister. She's flying in tonight from Sydney. She's flying in with Jetstar. She got an email saying, you're okay, you're all good to go. So she's not sure. She's still going to head to the airport.
She'll turn up and see what happens from there.
It's a very different situation to America, though. The FAA in America has grounded American Airlines, United and Delta due to communication issues with those flights. So that's really concerning. If there are ever communication issues with flights, you want those flights grounded. So that's the situation in America. And we've listed the companies that are affected by this, the banks, ANZ, Combank, NAB, Bendigo Bank, the big supermarkets, Woolies and Coles are affected. We've got a couple of other bigger companies added to that list now, of course. We've mentioned Australia Post, Google, Amazon, Optus, Telstra, now Uber. Apple Pay and Xbox have also been added to that list as well. So the number of companies affected by this is growing. It's been going for about 2.5 hours now, almost 3 hours, and no end in sight at this stage.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Stacey, for the updates. A couple of texts that are coming through on our unique homestyle food text, 0448 08 1395. Alex says, looks like OTR petrol stations are all out of action at the moment. And another one saying Ampol and Caltex stations are okay. So maybe if you are in need, you can check out Ampol and Caltex stations around the place. But as we say, please be patient. There is absolutely no expectation of anything working absolutely perfectly right now because there are some issues going on.
Maxine from Paralawi's just texted in and said, just went to Coles. They're stopping people at the entrance, and if you don't have cash, then you can't come in.
Okay.
Which just saves a lot of hassle when you get to the end of the line with a big basketball, isn't it? So and that's fair enough. Good advice. Thanks, Maxine.
You can watch on 5AA's Foodland live stream. We are live on Facebook and YouTube if you are unable to listen in other DAB ways, and we'd love you to tune in. And we are on 1395 AM as well. The Crows and Essendon game tonight, we have heard that game could possibly be cancelled at this stage. We are still yet to learn any further details, but that is coming out from 9 at the moment, so we may hear more very shortly. But earlier today we did speak to assistant coach of the Crows, Scott Burns.
Well, huge game tonight at Marvel Stadium. It's the Bombers taking on the Crows, and we've got one of the key assistant coaches, Scotty Burns, on the line. Welcome, Scotty.
How you going, Tim?
Look, not too bad, mate. I couldn't believe this stat. You've lost the last 7 to the Bombers. Have you had a look at the historic games to sort of help prepare for tonight?
Yeah, the last few there hasn't been much in it. Yeah, look, they've just had the wood over us. They've certainly got us when they've played at Marvel previous years, certainly with speed of ball movement mainly. Across half-back, they've really gone quickly and opened us up. And, yeah, we've a couple of games, I would say, that we have played them have probably been our worst 1 or 2 games we played that year too. So I don't think it's a true representation on where we've been at, but they've certainly had the wood over us, and they're going with a fair bit of confidence, I would have thought, against us tonight.
Your last quarter would have gained a lot of confidence, I think, for a lot of players, including the super sub, Riley Thilthorpe. But it does give you, I think, a real buoyancy when you have a quarter like that to finish off on.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Like it certainly adds. We've all been in games like that as players when there's not much in the game and you dig deep, and especially in those wet weather games where it's purely about contest and just effort. Which was fantastic for the boys last week, but we're the complete polar opposite this week, of course, at Marvel. Under the roof, where Essendon are 5-zip and they play some terrific dry football there. It definitely suits them. They're a very talented team, but they're a very good ball-using team as well with their kicks, especially, like I said, off half-back with Merritt and those boys in the middle too. They can certainly capitalise. But, we're looking forward to it. We've played here once this year and won. So I guess when you look at this year, we've got a 100% record here, and hopefully we can keep that up this tonight.
Well, you mentioned about your pressure. It was terrific last week. I think you had 109 tackles, and you're right. It was raining. It's outside of Adelaide Oval. How can you bring that same sort of pressure under the roof?
Well, it's just about denying time and space, isn't it? We want numbers around the contest. We certainly want to stop Essendon being able to switch the ball and go quickly against us. So we're trying to delay their ball movement as much as possible and make it slow. But as Nixie said in his presser yesterday, sometimes we get a little bit mixed up at Marvel. We talk about the speed of the game, but if you're not winning that hard ball or you're not nullifying the opposition when they get their hands on it, then it doesn't really matter. So we've got to make sure we bring that effort and contest around the ball. So our tackling has to be up. They're a very slick team with their hands as well in and around those stoppages. And when we get our opportunities, we need to drive legs aggressively and use our hands to get it to a teammate in open space.
Tex not playing this game, does that allow Riley Thilthorpe to start? But also, just I would imagine you've got to balance those tools. Should it hit the deck, you've got to have a lot of pressure on because they do move it very quickly, as you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, and they're quite a mobile backline. They've got McKay, which they needed. They've got the 195, 196 centimetre key position player. He might even be a bit taller than that. And then they've got a lot of those 190, 192s that can play on smalls and tall. So there is an advantage there at ground level for us if we can get it there, if we can be consistent. They're a really good intercept marking team, but if our big boys can compete and at a minimum bring it to ground in close, we think we can get our hands on the ball crumbing. But yeah, look, the big boys obviously can cause us, they're damaging when they're all up there. We've got Himmelberg now as well, who's 200, Riley's 200, and Fogg now with those other 2 big boys around him. He probably does get that 193, 194 centimetre defender. So hopefully he can, make the most of that matchup tonight.
You mentioned Ben McKay. I think 17 intercept possessions last week. There's a terminology now for perhaps the audience and the layman's like my good self. They talk about now with coaching that's important to shift lanes and just I suppose explain to people what you mean by shifting lanes to avoid an intercept mark like Ben McKay.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you go down one side, obviously the defensive teams they can gang up on you a little bit and they can force you down that one side, and it allows those defenders to come off and either destroy the ball with a big spoil or take those marks. So that ability, and it's not much. You can picture the ground. You're at the logo in the middle of the ground. If you can just bring that slightly inside the centre square. When you're going forward now, you've got access to the entire forward 50. So it's a little bit harder for those boys to come off their direct opponents and impact. You actually have those defenders, they've probably got to stay attached a little bit more. And those hard-working wingers and forwards that slide back on the open side to defend, well, they've got to re-engage with their direct opponents as well. So it just gives you more options going forward.
Peter Wright out. We were talking to Jordan Butts during the week. I said, does that mean, is that your matchup? And he said, yeah, I probably normally get the old 2 metre, Peter, but he won't be doing that tonight. So that's a bit of a bonus for Butsy.
Yeah, no, he's out. They brought Goldstein in. The thing with Goldstein, though, is the last month or so they've named him a couple of times to play, and he's been a late withdrawal. So it's one of those ones. He must be carrying something, Todd. Like there must be something there that's just niggling him a little bit to annoy him. But obviously, Peter's he's played the 7 games with 7 goals, but he's played well against us in the past. So I reckon Bussy would be pretty happy because I reckon he might have kicked 4 or 5 one day against us in one of those wins that Essendon had. But, Goldstein and Drape are really going to test Riley O'Brien in the ruck all night as well now. So they're certainly going to hit him up inside in and around the stoppages.
Young Brad Scholl, we spoke to him during the week, and him and Braden Cook got contracts, which was terrific. But they all seem to be developing quite well, and it looks like this back end of the year is going to be quite good for them. Their confidence seems to be up, along with like Hugh Bond, who's just come into the side. It's almost like a dose of sugar that's come through.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we're just talking to a couple of boys over here today from other clubs, and we're just talking about where we're probably at a little bit. And you look at Tommy Duda and Shane McAdam left last year. Sloaney doesn't play, and Wayne Miller and Crouchy don't play much. And one of the most disappointing things is you have Thilthorpe, Murray and Worrell that have played 10 games between them, and we're nearly round 20. But what it does do, lets Mark Keane play, and Mark's been outstanding. Now Curvis comes in, and he's been, you didn't mention him, but I think he's been a fantastic player for us along half back. And Lockie Scholl, he's been in and out of the team probably the last 2 or 3 years, but he's really consolidated his position on that wing, and he's nearly a goal-kicking wingman now too. If he keeps going, he's going to end up with 15 to 20 goals off a wing this year, which is a good effort because he works so hard defensively for us as well to slide back and help support. And Braden Cook, you watch him and he's got huge ability with ball in hand, and sometimes those guys, they're late developers. He was quite a skinny young kid when he came in, but he just needs time at this level, and he's done well to survive now for nearly 12 games, 10 or 12 games this year. So hopefully he keeps going and can finish off the last 6 weeks quite strongly.
All the best tonight at Marvel Stadium, mate. Hope you get the chocolates and come back home to Adelaide.
Thanks, Tim.
Beautiful. Scotty Burns, assistant coach, and looks after the forwards for the Adelaide Crows, our guest.
So Scott Burns there, and that was recorded only about an hour and a half ago. As things have been developing throughout the day, we've understood from reports coming out of Victoria now that if this is not resolved, this outage, which we are battling with at the minute, Essendon believes the Microsoft outage may impact fans who have mobile tickets getting into the footy, and there's talks that the game may even be postponed. So we'll keep you abreast of all of that as we speak. And if you are having trouble listening to us digitally, you can on 1395 AM, or we have our Foodland live stream up and running. We're on Facebook and YouTube. But right now, Stacey Lee joins us back in the studio. We have a guest to speak to.
We do. Cyber security expert Trevor Long joins us this evening. Good evening, Trevor. Thanks for your time. Might just check that line there, Trevor. Are you there?
Try and get that one back.
Yeah.
There we go. Yes, we have you there, Trevor. Thank you for your time. Your phone must be running hot.
It is. It's running hot because this is probably the biggest outage of computer systems we've seen. Obviously, if we think back to Optus outage last year, that was the biggest thing we'd seen in Australia, and this is probably on par with that given the effects that it's having. But this is also a global issue. So as the world wakes up, because obviously this has happened in Australian daytime, plenty of businesses around the world are discovering they too are affected by this outage.
What do we know about CrowdStrike? Apparently it's been linked to cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike. Now, you're in the know. I've not heard of them before as a layman, but what do we know about them?
No, the average person wouldn't have heard of CrowdStrike because they don't sell services to individuals. They sell services to businesses, small and extremely large. And look, those businesses would pay anywhere from hundreds to hundreds of thousands of dollars a month because CrowdStrike provides a protection. So basically they provide a security layer, a cyber security layer to prevent businesses being hacked, businesses having any compromise, and that's the safety that they provide to those companies. But what has apparently occurred here is that they've done some sort of software upgrade that has brought their systems down, and so as a result, anyone that relies on CrowdStrike, their systems are confused and they're not happy, so they're not going online, and that's preventing anything from payment terminals to workplace computers from working right now.
Right. So we've seen a statement from the Australian government that they don't believe this is a security incident, and from what you're hearing, that's correct. It was just an upgrade that was meant to happen, it didn't happen, and their systems have crashed. There's no sort of hacking or bigger thing at
Sinister.
play here.
Nothing
yeah,
sinister.
nothing sinister.
There doesn't appear to be anything sinister about this, but unfortunately what this does is a small upgrade of their problem, their end gone wrong, shows how exposed they are as a company. And so what will now happen is cyber hackers and state actors even will look at big companies like this and think about how they can utilise bringing these companies down to potentially cause this kind of outage globally.
Okay.
It's not the message you want to hear.
No, that's not what you want to hear at all. Have we
No,
had
and
any...
that's the problem is we rely on these systems so extensively. And, I heard people today saying, well, cash is king, but it's not, because you can't walk into a Coles service station and pay with cash because their computer system's down. They can't process the payment in any way, shape or form.
That's interesting, because we had some texts come in, Trev, saying that people were being stopped at the supermarket saying if you don't have cash, then you can't come in. So they must be going to do that process later
Look, it
on.
depends. If you know the price of every product and you can account for that, then absolutely it's possible to pay with cash. But if a business can't process the payment, then that's how it is.
We're getting some feedback too that maybe some hospitals have been affected in Adelaide as far as their computer systems goes. I presume if they too are CrowdStrike, they can be affected.
And that's the biggest concern here. If a healthcare organisation like a hospital is using the computer systems that are backed up by CrowdStrike in any way, then they won't be working. Now, we have to hope that it's not the most important systems in literally the rooms, but their administration systems could well be linked to this.
So have we heard from CrowdStrike since this has happened, Trevor? Have they communicated to say how long they're expected to fix?
We haven't heard a formal statement from them at this point in terms of timeline. That does appear they have admitted an outage or a problem with one of their systems, and that their engineering team is actively working on it.
Okay, so it's not just a turn it off, turn it back on again situation.
Not right now, but it probably will be in a short space of time. Once they fix their issues, that's the only way we'll be able to fix it, is to turn it off, turn it back on again.
Okay, so they've got to fix something, then send it through as an update to everyone who uses their systems. Then everyone who uses them has to sort of click that button, Control-Alt-Delete it, and download the update, and then hopefully good to go?
Correct. That's exactly the case.
Okay, well, I feel like a
It
tech
sounds a
expert
bit
all
more
of a
simple,
sudden.
doesn't it? Yeah. I'm impressed with you, Stacey.
Oh, thank you.
Whiz, well played.
Excellent work. Trevor Long, thank you so much for joining us on 5AA
Pleasure.
this afternoon.
No worries.
Helping us with the clarity we need, I think, in a time of a little bit of confusion out there. Thank you for...
Excellent update, Trev. Thank you.
Absolutely
Excellent.
agree. Trevor, cybersecurity expert, helping us out this afternoon. It is 5 o'clock. We're going to get a news update from Mel Usher very shortly. She's going to make her way into the studio very shortly. But as we are hearing right now, there's plenty going on, and we're going to keep giving you the updates. Of course, the Crows-Essendon game. Essendon have just put out an update saying there's a global outage which is impacting all industries, including AFL. Please be aware of the following regarding access to Marvel Stadium tonight. All physical tickets, including a PDF ticket on your phone, are working. All corporate tickets issued are working. So that's a positive update at the moment, which means the game could well go forward. We are broadcasting to you live here on the Foodland live stream. We are on 1395 AM as well. Mel Usher is here with the latest in the newsroom.
The news and information that matters. This is 5AA News, always Adelaide.
Good afternoon, Mel Usher with the 5 o'clock news. The Australian government says it's working closely with the National Cyber Security Coordinator in the wake of this global IT outage. It's not being treated as a cyber attack. It's a technical issue with a third-party software platform. The National Emergency Management Agency is co-chairing a meeting with the National Emergency Mechanism Group. The list of companies affected is growing. It includes supermarkets like Woolworths, banks like ANZ and CommBank, Apple Pay, Uber, Australia Post, Google, Amazon, Optus, Telstra and Apple Pay. Adelaide Airport is affected by the outage. It's impacting check-in procedures for some airlines and some terminal services. Further afield, the FAA in the US has grounded American Airlines, United and Delta flights due to communication issues. There are also reports of airport shutdowns in Europe. In other news, a severe weather warning is in effect across much of South Australia. Wind gusts are predicted to reach up to 100 kilometres an hour, along with 25 millimetres of rain and possible hail. Emergency crews are on standby. A code blue has been activated for several areas, including the metro area. And Donald Trump has detailed last weekend's assassination attempt during his speech to the Republican National Convention. He spoke for a record 93 minutes, also formally accepting the Republican nomination as presidential candidate. In sport, Tex Walker will sit out tonight's Crows game. He's being rested. Adelaide play Essendon at Marvel Stadium, and as far as we know, it is still going ahead at this point. Port play the Tigers tomorrow night at Adelaide Oval. The FIVEAA forecast, rain and windy tonight, showers and winds easing tomorrow 15. Right now it's 9 degrees. More news as it happens on FIVEAA.
Thank you, Mel. It is currently 3 minutes after 5. We are trying to keep you abreast of what is happening so far in what is a troublesome time with Microsoft outages across not just Australia but the world at the moment. So thank you for being patient with us, and please be patient out there on the roads and with any businesses that you are hoping to operate with throughout the next couple of hours. We're hoping it can be all up and fixed in a very short time. But as we know, these things are complex. So, Tim, welcome back to you. It is an interesting time out there.
Yeah, I'm just reading through a few text messages that are flowing through, and thank you very much for those. Keep those flowing in on 0448 08 1395, unique homestyle food text. Just it seems like it's a bit some places, as say you want to go and buy some alcohol, some places are open and some aren't, and it's the same with the convenience stations, petrol and the like. Some are open and some aren't, and I think it's all what we just heard from Trevor Long is if you have you are attached to the CrowdStrike program, then if you are affected by that update that hasn't gone right, then you're probably out and aren't able to take the transaction. So we ourselves are being affected by it. Lots of other major corporations in Australia and globally are as well. So it looks as though that some places just keep. I think it's a bit of trial and error at the moment.
Yeah.
If you are trying to get something done, you might have to move to the next venue or the like. But tonight, hopefully the game goes ahead at Marvel Stadium. Your update there just seemed like it might be happening.
Yeah, so there's been some further updates just before we welcome in Warren Tredreau, who's in the studio with us. So Essendon Footy Club have put out a statement over Twitter, and they've said for Essendon Football Club members attending Marvel tonight, now I understand we're an Adelaide audience, so a lot of our listeners aren't going to the game, but there may be listeners in Melbourne, and there may be people interested who are, of course, wanting to see some football tonight on a Friday evening. It's saying at this stage, all physical tickets, including PDF tickets on your phone, are working. All corporate tickets issued are working. All physical membership cards are also working. Their mobile membership card feature, however, on the club app is not working, and this will impact a whole range of different members. So as a result, we're encouraging all members to bring their physical membership cards to the game and visit their friendly membership team at Gate 5. If you are in Melbourne at Marvel Stadium tonight, they can help with any assistance, Gate 5 at Marvel. So it's currently looking a little bit more positive, which is a good thing, because earlier reports about half an hour ago were that the AFL were even looking at whether the game could even go ahead if fans weren't able to use their tickets. Right now, though, joining us in studio is Warren Tredreau. Of course, all thanks to Ignition for Men for top brand tailor-fitted men's suits and casual wear. See Ignition for Men. They're at 54 Paynham Road, Stepney. Good afternoon to you, Tredders.
How you going?
Oh. Yeah, not too bad.
Sounds like you got a bit going on, boys.
Well, you made it in. That's the main thing, mate.
I was listening the whole time. Good coverage, boys.
Yes, thank you very much. Sure.
I would have thought
current affairs.
Would have thought current affairs and cyber outages was your wheelhouse, Timmy.
There is an IT in Tim, you know.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so I'm using every bit of that as we currently speak. But been a bit of a big week since you came in Monday. We knew that those two tribunal cases that were going up were going to be quite controversial. I love the fact that the Giants and the Lions didn't lay down. They went again at it, and in the end, an error of law was what brought it undone.
This is what's funny, because I've just had a mate of mine who's into the legal stuff. He said to me here, we're not out of the woods in terms of these incidents, because the rule reads 18.7.1, law, right? Players should be protected from unreasonable conduct for an opposition player which is likely to cause injury. The only reason these guys got off is because the lawyers didn't challenge the full part of that, which says which is likely to cause injury. Because they didn't challenge that bit and talk about it specifically, That's the only reason they got off. So next time, provided the legal...
So you're saying lawyer error?
Yeah, lawyer error. So what the reason is, and this is what I'm told, so don't shoot the messenger, but this is from someone who follows it closely and said, next time these similar incidents come up, tackle within the rules. Yes, injury has happened. They're going to get 3 again.
Nah.
They are. This is the problem, and this is the worry for me in the game, because it only got thrown out because it was an error of law. The fact that the tribunal said, well, hang on, effectively their legal representative didn't mention that last bit, which is likely to cause injury. That's the only reason it got thrown out.
So when we spoke to Tim Downey, Johnston Withers lawyers, and had a good discussion around what was happening, he said that so long as the AFL have put in, and they have, protocols around, sling tackles and the like, and concussion protocols 20 minutes out of the game. If you're not right, you don't go back in. As long as you've put all of that in, it is a contact sport.
Yes.
Injuries are going to occur.
Yes.
Where we were worried and concerned about those 2 tackles was if you can't do that, then you can't tackle.
But you know what happens,
because
Tim?
everything's got a potential to
exactly, and
to
that's
injure.
when they put this in last year. I went, hang on, this is like, mate,
potential to
touch wood, doesn't happen. Potential to run up the back of another car in the wet, greasy conditions tonight.
It's there.
You've got the potential for anything to happen, and this is where I think, and I'd hate to say it, NRL are miles in front of AFL. And before you drive off the road and rear end someone, right?
Gee whiz. In what way?
I watched a bit of the State of Origin, right?
I watched it all.
Right, and I enjoy it, right?
Unbelievable.
They've got rid of the king here. They've got sin bin guys, high tackle, fend off to the face. Their penalties are right, but it's still tough, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It is still tough.
Hard. It's brutal the other night.
So this is what I say. We play a combative game, arguably more combative than NRL because it comes from 360 degrees. But we are full contact. We have ruled out head-high hits. We have ruled out bumps to the head. We have tried to limit concussion as much as possible. But when I hear, in that instance, it's going to get 3 weeks next time if a lawyer actually says, which is likely to cause injury, talks about that challenge of that charge, every player's going to get rubbed out. We are fundamentally changing the fabric of our game. And I'm not sure the AFL understands how much they're changing it. I get they're covering the loophole of injury, and everyone has to. But this is, and I saw an interesting comment from Nathan Buckley, which was it was said on Twitter this afternoon. He effectively said, the more you rule out the legal tackle and the legal collision, you're fundamentally changing the fabric of football. And we stand here right now going, if a lawyer didn't make that mistake last night, we'd have players with 3 week suspensions from actually doing everything possible to do a legal tackle.
And that's where, look, the bump is out. Let's face it. I've said it for years.
Yeah.
There's been no official statement that the bump is out.
It's too big a risk.
But the bump is completely, but they've got that out. So I go, if tackling is next, you've fundamentally changed the game forever.
Well, it is. Like you look at, it's sadly, I don't reckon, unless they're going to be rewarding. Like the Dangerfield one got off the other week, right? But now we're seeing more chicken wing tackles than ever before.
In 1
week.
Which
I'm waiting for someone's shoulder to pop out.
And that's not right. I don't agree with that at all.
No, because they're trying to do that to leverage the arm to fall back so you're not actually causing that extra injury. So this is what Nathan Buckley's tweet was quite interesting. The AFL last night was held to account on their very own rules and action likely to cause injury. Players take to the field accepting injury in some shape or form and probably in a game based on contest. This is consequentially the reality that cannot be legislated out of the game. And that's true. But what the AFL is trying to do is legislate it out of the game. Effectively, we want to play a full 360-degree contact, 4 quarters, over 120 minutes, and we don't want any concussion. It is not going to happen.
Yeah. Now, I sent you an interesting message today. Tom Morris showed a video of Max Viney, the brother of Jack, who is a jiu-jitsu black belt, and he's been working with players of different clubs, Pendlebury, Warple, Petrarca, Tom Mitchell, on a tackling technique. And when I watched it through, I was staggered at how well he was training these guys to avoid what we saw in the Toby Bedford case, where he's run down, tackle from behind.
And momentum, you fall into
momentum, you fall into their back and the like. And he showed this video of a technique in wrestling, and this is proper wrestling, not WW. You know.
No, it's like jiu-jitsu, isn't it?
You got it.
Yeah.
And so he was showing examples, actual live game examples of players that he's worked with, tackling players from behind, but be able to drop their knees and turn them slightly.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing technique that I thought, well, at speed, at pace and all the rest of it, how can you do that?
I reckon
but
Port
obviously they can.
Port had a coach a few years back. John Donahue, was it? Ex-Melbourne Storm tackling coach.
Yes.
Used to fly him in and out technically for that sort of stuff. Jiu-jitsu's certainly different, more martial arts based. But they dropped the body and weight. Then that brings in the next thing. You're going to get more ankles caught. You're going to get more knees caught. I get we're trying to make it a safe workplace. But if you actually limit it as much as possible, rule out head-high hits, all that sort of stuff, you're never going to stop concussion when you've got humans running into each other.
It's a line in the sand moment, I reckon. And there is an opportunity here for the AFL to say, well, we've put as much bubble wrap around the game as possible. Now you just have to accept there's risk.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah, but I don't think they're willing to do that. It looks like Andrew Dillon's
they're
mould here is
still frightened
to effectively knock out concussion.
Probably still.
Pardon the pun.
Well, you actually can't.
You can't. No. That's why I think we're just being totally unrealistic.
If you do, well, then we do have a massive issue with what is Australian rules football.
Absolutely.
Oh, I tell you what.
We'll continue our footy chat very shortly. We love your texts coming in, 0448 08 1395. We're hearing that there are some updates here at Marvel Stadium. Ticketmaster app to view digital tickets from Marvel Stadium is offline. However, gates have just opened at Marvel Stadium and no one can get in. So they're still working through that for tonight's Friday night game. So please be patient if you are over there in Melbourne listening to us on 5AA.
2 hours away.
And we're hearing that the Crows have headed to the ground. They're planning to play like normal, as I suppose you would until you're told officially that there is no game. But right now, things are moving a little quicker and positively.
Open the gates if you haven't do an honesty system. We need this game to go ahead. What do the broadcasters want? They need this game to go ahead, Tim.
That's the biggest challenge. Broadcasters may not even be able to get the broadcast up and running. So that's
right.
That's the issue
we're having. Are we?
Yeah. Well, we might have to get analogues.
This is far and wide at the moment, so we'll get some more updates as they come to hand. Stacey Lee has been coming in and helping us out with the latest very well
she's
throughout
doing
this
overtime.
afternoon. She is working very, very
Wait
hard.
till that invoice comes in.
Speaking to the airports and hospitals and traffic.
I'm getting paid in lolly snakes, so
That's all right.
that'll do for now.
What have you got? I weighed about 10 of them out there.
Hey, they're not for you.
No, they weren't.
No, I've been making some calls to the SA government to see if any government services are impacted. They're not aware of any issues. I called SA Health just to check out if anything's happening with SA Health. They've got no impacts to any patient care, which is really good news. They're on high alert though. They're monitoring it. They do have some minor internal intranet issues, but that's not affecting any patient care at any hospitals. It is a very different story at the Calvary, which we got some information from a texter earlier. So thank you for that. They don't have any computers, so they don't have any digital patient records. They are heavily affected by this. They're putting everything through manually, so it's pen and paper down at the Calvary Hospital. They are still affecting patients. They've said patients who are coming through the emergency department still come through.
Yep.
Just don't expect the quick treatment that you would usually
get there.
Everything will be a bit slower. We're putting everything through manually. No digital patient
Great
records.
supporters of 5AA football.
They certainly are.
Calvary ED 24/7.
The injury report.
Yep, and you know what? We need those private hospitals because our public ones are struggling.
Yeah.
So that's the update from Calvary Private Hospital.
Lovely. Thank you, Stacey. Appreciate you coming in. So the AFL spokesperson, Jay Allen, has spoken. Tonight's match will go ahead as scheduled.
Okay, good.
So there is a really good story to come out for now. Gates are opening, though, a little bit later than they were meant to start with. So they've delayed that. 5:50, I believe that would be Melbourne time. So that might be a little while from now.
Provided you got cash too.
I was going to say get cash out.
Chicken and mayo sandwiches would be going real quick.
Yeah. You'll have to
The
pay
local
for your
Woolworths.
chippies with cash.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
Traders.
Well, I would imagine Marvel and the MCG are exactly like Adelaide Oval.
Be cash only.
Card only.
Card.
Card
Only. Should have said. Or what do you actually have the
card,
your bank card or your
the Adelaide Oval
card?
Yeah. But that won't work. So,
Surely they'll let you bring in a whole chicken and a bowl of and a thing of rolls and make them in the aisles.
Oh, we should go to America, where they do the barbecues in the car park on the back of the trucks.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Oh, I'd love to get a lamb spit down there on the back of
the rib. They do the ribs on the grill. What do they call them? Trailer park party? No.
Tailgates?
Tailgate parties.
Yeah.
Tailgate party. No, I want to get my lamb spit out and my tzatziki and the pittas.
Good luck getting that into Marvel Stadium. Excuse me, just bringing the pig through.
So the full statement coming out of the AFL as we're just getting slowly updated. So the full statement is tonight's match will go ahead as scheduled. Anyone with a physical or downloaded PDF ticket, a ticket in their digital wallet or a physical Essendon or AFL membership card is unaffected. It'll scan as normal. Anyone with a digital ticket or a membership to tonight's game that has not been downloaded will receive an email instead with directions. If affected and unable to access your ticket, Essendon members proceed to Gate 5 for assistance. So that is for those who are attending the game tonight. As we said, repeating, tonight's match will go ahead between the Crows and the Bombers. The gate times that usually open, they have been delayed. That will open now at 5:50, so that would be Melbourne time, so that wouldn't be far away. You're listening to 5AA. You can tune in to us here on the 1395 AM dial, or you can, of course, head to our Foodland live stream, which is up and running on Facebook and YouTube if you'd like to tune in. Warren Treadray is currently in studio with us, all thanks to Ignition for Men.
Absolutely. Treaders, another thing that happened during the week was the AFL CEO conference. Now, we were
in Perth.
We were a little bit stunned because when it came out, we thought to ourselves, well, they're going to be handling all the big issues like equalisation and making sure that the umpiring of the game perhaps
it's at a record high apparently.
MRO perhaps.
No problems there.
Yeah, no problems there either. So we thought these sort of topic matters would be right on the cusp of the agenda.
Yep.
There were things like, would you like a pre-season comp? Would you like a mid-season comp? Would you really like it if perhaps we put the wild card round in right at the end and that?
They're trying to follow the NBA.
But that's fluff.
Yeah.
That is fluff for where we're right
They're
out now.
They're trying to create more revenues by creating more spots. Remember what the NBA did? They did that in-season tournament this year.
Yep.
That was fluff.
It's fluff. And it's just ridiculous.
What are the biggest issues right now, Tim? Umpiring?
100%.
Right, consistency of what the rules look like. Yep. The MRO still is a concern.
Yes, massive.
Right? I think equalisation in terms of grassroots levels, right? Participation, second-tier comps, academies, father-sons.
Massive. We're still sitting here.
And it still hasn't been resolved.
6 weeks away from the finals, have not got that resolved. And yet, are we going to talk about at a CEO's conference a wild card draw? No. Put that back in the sock drawer.
That says fundamentally they're not hearing the fans.
Well,
you walk in and I used to get told the pub test. What's the pub test?
Yeah, you walk in the front.
What's the family who's just rocked up to dinner talking about their footy? You know, they're going, well, we haven't had any father sons, or why haven't we got that? You know, or the boys at the barbecue, what are they talking about? You know, we want having the footy chat, whether it's guys or girls.
The footy's hard to watch because umpiring is inconsistent. MROs, free kicks, we don't know what's going on.
How can a bloke who's done everything right to legally tackle a bloke and then innocuously concuss someone end up being suspended when they've done every duty of care?
And then to have statements that have been made by AFL officials like umpiring's never been better than it is now.
Yeah.
And we had a text on it, I think, last night, which said they're so far away and so misunderstanding and so disconnected to the fan base that it's now going to have to affect people whether I decide to watch a game or not and whether I can continue to follow this game if it continues down this path. They are the massive issues.
That is the issues of footy.
You cannot come out
they're the measurables.
And say, do you want a pre-season comp and a mid-season comp? They should not have been even discussed.
I can't disagree with that at all.
It was staggering.
Because, like, if you look at closer to home, and I know that Samful and both clubs are working together, but what does our reserves situation look like? It hasn't been resolved yet.
No, that's
still working through.
Well,
but
they basically told them very early on that you're staying where you are. You're not going anywhere. We're nowhere near sorting that out.
Yeah, from a national point of view.
From a national point of view. So, you know, bad luck you stay where you are.
For
and
Crows
you do
fans
that.
and Port fans who are probably not as closely aligned to a Samful club as some others, maybe the younger generation, not our older generation, they'd be going, well, Why haven't we got what Carlton's got? Yeah, fine if we want to play in the sample, but why wouldn't we? Why would we be playing to a different set of rules? And that's just one of the smaller elements, and that's probably a really important issue for both clubs here for development. But then fundamentally, I think the big piece of the puzzle right now is the academy stuff. What does that look like?
Yeah.
How can was it Brisbane Lions or Gold Coast last year?
Brisbane
Lions. Brisbane Lions got 4 players deemed in the top first round and gave up a draft hand with discount.
Now, look, to be fair, they have probably not had father-sons like 2 Dacosses rocking up at
No,
Collingwood.
they haven't, but
you know,
Port and Crows haven't done well out of father-son.
And we know that, but you go, okay, so where is this balance of getting that right? And I think it will be academies for all clubs.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure that's happening anytime soon.
It's not happening. Well, nothing happens anytime soon.
No, I think
glacial is the word that was used by Jimmy Bartell. Glacial.
I think fundamentally the real value for an academy player will be the first thing sorted but why is it that a kid in 12 years of age called Errol Golden can be good enough to be picked up by Sydney, be coached from his 12 years of age to his draft year at 18, and if he's good enough, then gets why couldn't a local kid based, split in Adelaide in half, working with the sample clubs, whoever they're aligned to, and both AFL clubs put time and resources to support the sample clubs' time and resources into these young kids. And if they end up getting picked up, you could have some sort of financial deal between the clubs where money changes hands because you get drafted anyway, you got to do it. Whereas you're actually growing the grassroots from an AFL level, whereas that's handed by the sample. For the first time ever, though, for what I see, is and the sample dispute this, is that the AFL's rolling out the numbers to say Auskick levels in Queensland are bigger than South Australia. And I'm like, how's that happen? I think fundamentally we need a system where it's got to be, whatever it is, even across the board. Because we deal with the salary cap the same.
And you can absolutely have the sample involved in that development. But what you might, and this is a little bit of foresight I've maybe almost had, Treaders, but when George and I were campaigning for one club, and to get that all happening back in 2010, 2011, the idea that I had was we kept all of our
recruiting zonings,
and I wanted to do exactly what you just said. I want to get a kid from 13 years of age, take him through the development squads, into the juniors, into the seniors. Now, if he's good enough, he gets drafted. You can't control that. He goes to the draft, but he might be 2-3 years elsewhere. But we can recruit him back, and when we do, I don't have to explain to him who Port Adelaide is.
Yeah.
He already knows.
But that same thing could happen for Woodvurst Torrens or for Norwood or for whoever. So for example,
Correct.
Norwood and Adelaide are aligned. They've had the tutelage of a Taylor Walker when he's still in the Crows system, and
Correct.
a Matthew Nicks.
You're still in
and
with your clubs.
And Jade Rawlings and those players. You know what I mean? So we're actually working together.
That's right.
To improve grassroots.
And I think that can work beautifully,
But
because
hey,
we've already got 4 clubs
w-
that sort of feed both clubs, and it happens in the women's system as well. So I think it can.
But
really
I still
work
reckon
well.
the AFL's on the ball, Tim. If they're talking about throwing in extra rounds and more glittery little objects to sell.
What is all that about? Just purely...
I really don't know.
It's probably more TV opportunity, more eyeball exposures and the like. But you know
where
what?
was it held?
A mid-season...
Where was it held?
Which one?
This meeting.
Oh, Perth.
Yeah, why?
Yeah, because they're going to have that mid-season tournament over there, or that pre-season tournament there.
They haven't got gather round and they're pushing for something.
Correct, and they're trying to invent something. But this is not the hot issue of the day.
No, the hot issue of the day is the game is being challenged in many ways, and we need to... and I love soccer, Gunners fan, still dealing with the fact we lost. But fundamentally, soccer's hardly changed. Yes, we've had the goal review. Other than that, what other rules change?
No, they're very tight on that.
Yeah.
And it does keep the game...
We have at least 4 a year, and then we change tackling rules mid-year. I can understand why the fans are frustrated, but the game is being watched at record levels. Membership is great. Fans are wanting to go to Marble to watch the Crows and Essendon, whether they got digital tickets or can buy hot chips.
But what we don't know is what game we're going to get next week.
No.
Correct.
And the way it's going to be adjudicated. That's our issue. The other great thing I did pick up about State of Origin the other day, and I think it might have been my youngest daughter said, what, they only had one ref? One ref.
One on the field, yeah. The other 2 on the side.
Yeah, they're linesmen.
Yeah.
There's
Good point.
And now we know it's smaller and there's less people and all the rest of it.
You probably need to go to a break. But why do we still not have State of Origin?
Well,
it's run by the associations, Rugby League. Why can't South Australian, SANFL, VFL, whoever, have a round robin in the mid-year or pre-season? They sell it off like the State of Origin. The sponsorships go to Grassroots and to SANFL.
Well, you will be happy. That was
whoever.
one of the things on the CEO's conference. This was State of Origin.
But as we know, no decisions were made.
No, we
the
landed
problem
on
is, this is the thing. The only reason it died is because the clubs wouldn't support it. I understand. They're the ones that paid the players' wages. But if you actually say to the players, do you want to play? Yes. The game sells it off. The clubs make money out of it. The players make money out of it. And the rest of the money goes to Grassroots. Who wins? We're not having local footy clubs shut the doors.
I asked Campo the other night about State of Origin. He said, look, I came in on the back end of it.
Yeah.
He said, I got to play with some of my heroes. He said, and I loved it. He said, I would have played again. Don't worry. But it got taken away. So it wasn't a player issue.
No. That was the big names that they couldn't convince at the end.
Clubs went to those big names and
said, hey, you're
injured. Not playing.
You've got a sore groin.
And
I haven't had a groin injury ever. Well, you still got a sore groin.
And you've got a contract there that says you aren't going anywhere. You're staying right here and you're going to play for our club rather than a State of Origin match.
It's 29 minutes after 5. Treaders, thank you. We might see if we can keep you in for a little bit longer. We'll see how things are panning out at the moment because we have lots to talk about still. Where there is a little bit happening in the news world. The Crows have just put out a statement on Twitter as well in regards to tickets and fans who are at Marvel Stadium today. A PSA, fans attending tonight's game at Marvel have urged to bring hard copy tickets, PDFs saved to your phone or stored tickets on Apple Wallet. Tickets saved in the club app are not going to work. There are people in our unique homestyle food text line that are saying, I can't retrieve my ticket for tomorrow night's game at Adelaide Oval. That would be Port fans or Richmond fans. At the moment, we know the AFL are working with Ticketmaster regarding the outage affecting multiple organisations and reinforce that tonight's match at least will proceed, and thank everyone for their patience and understanding. So let's hope that this can be knocked over pretty quickly. There's been a fault that's happened during the day at an organisation called CrowdStrike, who have basically had an update that's gone wrong, and Microsoft and a whole bunch of IT services around the world are having a lot of trouble. So we'll keep you up to date with all of that. Right now, let's get the latest with Mel Usher in our 5AA newsroom.
The news and information that matters. This is 5AA News, always Adelaide.
Good afternoon, Mel Usher with the 5AA News headlines. A major outage is impacting IT systems worldwide. It's been traced back to global cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike. The federal government has called an emergency meeting. There are reports that Australia is one of the worst affected areas, with payment systems heavily impacted. Locally, Calvary Hospital has been impacted, and some of the Illuminated Adelaide attractions won't go ahead tonight, including the Fire Gardens and the Universal Kingdom event at the Zoo. There are some check-in procedures being impacted at Adelaide Airport, and airports around the world are grounding some flights. 911 services in half a dozen US states have been impacted as well. In other news, there's a severe weather warning current for parts of the state with strong wind gusts. Donald Trump has addressed the RNC with his wife Melania and daughter Ivanka in a rare show of public support. And in sport, the Crows will play the Bombers tonight at Marvel Stadium. Fans should try and bring a hard copy of their ticket in the wake of the outage. The 5AA forecast, if my computer wants to play nice, or maybe the outage is...
Oh, no.
Got him, yes!
Oh, Mel.
Oh, what are you doing to me?
We're all victims
Well,
of
I
it.
know that it's windy and rainy tonight. It's down to 8. The wind and rains will ease tomorrow and it'll be 15. And right now it is around 12 degrees on 5AA.
This is quintessential as it happens.
That is called,
Mel,
that
thank
is
you.
calling ad-libbing at its best.
Yep, that's why she's the best in the business. Mel, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll let you duck off and try and continue to gather all the information. Stacey Lee will join us as well. She's been giving us as many updates as possible throughout the day on this outage, which has been troubling us here at 5AA. You may have noticed it's been a little bit of a different afternoon's worth of broadcasting. We will hopefully speak to someone at Marvel Stadium shortly as well, because we can find out a little bit more of what's happening ticket-wise with the gates. The Crows and Essendon game, as you heard from Mel just moments ago, is expected to go ahead. The AFL have said it will, so that is a good thing, but the fans and the ticketing is the biggest issue as we speak. Stacey, welcome back in.
Hello. I think we're going to talk to someone in at Marvel Stadium
in a few minutes?
In a few minutes' time.
Great.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
And we're going to chat to another cybersecurity expert this hour as well, just to, work out. We know this is now CrowdStrike. We know that they've said, yes, it's an us issue and we're working on it. But what happens from here for the businesses that are affected? How long is this expected to last? And should they have any ongoing concerns? Or once CrowdStrike manages to get their systems back up and running, are we good as gold, good to go? Or do you have to then go back and look at what's happened in your systems during that time? Because when things are out and you're a business, I imagine you want to know what's happened during that time. Has anyone been able to get in? Has any of our information leaked out? What happens there? How can you make sure that hasn't occurred?
Do you know, Stacey, for me, I've always thought that this was what was going to happen in 1999 going into the year 2000. The Y2K bug was the biggest, scariest thing going around, and it was this sort of fear that they thought might happen.
Yeah. You're listening to us on 5AA. You might be on 1395 AM. Our DAB digital services are currently not running as per normal, so if you're wanting to listen digitally, make sure you head to our Facebook and YouTube pages. We have the Foodland live stream currently up and running, and you can see the faces of us all here trying to work frantically and give you as many updates as possible. We have on the line with us live at 3AW. In fact, we did for a moment. We've just dropped out, so we're hoping in a moment.
We're going to cross to Marvel Stadium.
3AW's Jackie Reid was there. So we're going to get her back.
Because we've had a few texts saying that I'm here, I can't get in, and then we had a message from the AFL saying it will just be delayed. It will go ahead, and please, if you can, bring a physical paper ticket rather than the one perhaps on your phone.
Unique homestyle food text. Someone saying the AFL CEO Andrew Dillon has just released a statement. This is a joke, by the way, confirming that modern technology is as good as it's ever been. Just making some light of the situation.
And cash isn't king, he said.
Right. Yeah, cash isn't king. Yes, I did see that one earlier. But look, I think it's great news that the game's going to go ahead. I think that's excellent. And then, I think if there's a little bit of making a few compensations around that, and if it means a bit of a loss on the gate or the can name, fair enough.
The other argument then is, if it doesn't go ahead, and I heard you boys as I was driving in, what happens? Well, you're not going to go head to head with a broadcast. You probably have to play a Sunday night game because it's not going to fit anywhere else unless you did a squeeze Saturday or a squeeze Sunday. But the fixture, as you said, it didn't. I think there was a Marvel game in the afternoon, a night game at the MCG, or a twilight game in the MCG. Well, you could then go back to Marvel for a later game, but then you're head-to-head with a port game into this market with the 7 networks. So, the reality is it probably fits on a Sunday or a midweek game, and that's not going to help anyone. And reality is, if entrance is the problem, yes, food and beverage is a concern, but a less concern. The biggest thing would be just worst-case scenario, open the gates.
All right, let's head to Marvel Stadium. 3AW's Jackie Reid now joins us. Jackie, thanks for giving us your time. It seems a frantic time there in Melbourne. How is it?
Yeah, it's quite eerie actually in Melbourne today. We've had a shocking weather day, blowing a gale outside, and now poor people are stuck out there at the minute because of this internet outage that's sort of hampering the whole world at the minute. So patrons are being encouraged to bring their physical tickets tonight, their PDF tickets if they can, because unfortunately the club app isn't working for the Essendon Football Club, Adelaide Football Club, the AFL and the Medallion Club. So tickets on their apps are not working at the minute. If they are coming to the ground with those sorts of tickets, please head along to Gate 5, and they're going to use an honesty policy there to make sure that they can get through. But as you can imagine, it's causing a bit of confusion outside of the ground. The corporate tickets are still working, and physical membership cards are working as well. So if you have a physical ticket or a physical membership card, you will be okay tonight. But otherwise, you're going to have to stand out in the wind and hopefully get through in quick enough time for the game.
Jackie, do you know what's happening inside the stadium? Obviously, we're hearing Woolies and Coles aren't taking card payments, and you when you go to the footy, you want a beer and the chips. Can people pay for that?
Well, I think they're going to have to work that out pretty quickly. I'm actually inside the stadium at the minute. We just finished a pre-game interview with Daniel G and Syracuse, so I'm going to have to investigate to see what the shops are doing. They're all open at the minute, and staff are inside them waiting for patrons to come in, and I can see there are some patrons now coming through the gate. Security guards just let me know that the gates are open across that side of the ground there. So there are some people making their way forward. Hopefully they can, buy their food, because we're moving quickly into a cashless society, aren't we? So not everyone would bring cash with them on these events.
Jackie, how are the clubs dealing with it? You just sound like you spoke to one of the assistant coaches. How are the clubs dealing with the approach to tonight's game, since it is very unique?
Yeah, it is pretty unique. I think, I spoke to a couple of people from the Bombers media staff who have been taken aback by this. But we probably didn't anticipate that this was a Ticketmaster with the footy tickets, so that's going to cause some confusion. But we're just hoping things like the ARC are going to work tonight, things like that, in terms of the game itself. It's a fast-moving situation. AFL's all over it, trying to work it out pretty quickly. And
having a couple of issues.
So they're okay.
Okay, having a couple of issues with the phone line there. But I did just want to ask you, Jackie, we're seeing lots of vision. Of course, we as a radio station have been affected. Different TV stations have been affected. I've seen some of the news bulletins. It's just a presenter sitting in front of a camera. There's no auto cue. There's no graphics on the screen. Obviously, with footy, there's lots of graphics involved in the scores on the screen. I wonder what it's going to be like there in the stadium. Have you heard about whether any of that is going to be working, or is it just going to be the guys out on the field playing, and if you get to see it, you see it. If you don't, you don't?
Well, at the minute, the screens are working. So they all look like they're fine at the moment. And I don't imagine they're going to be impacted, given it's a direct camera route that's plugged in as well. So, we're just going to make sure that the ARC's up and running, because we don't want any decisions missed tonight, given it is a very important game for both Essendon and I suppose Adelaide as well. So at the minute, there's a bunch of people coming in. So this is a good sign. It looks like some are opened and working. So hopefully it's just gotten through and the physical ticket being used.
Were you able to talk to anyone from the clubs or the AFL yet, Jackie, about whether or not they seriously considered calling the game off, or was it just not an option? Was it always on?
Oh, that's ever going to be an option. No. I know that Kane's going to be on AW shortly, going to be in the box, so she can explain the AFL's dealt with stuff. Honestly, it hasn't been a huge factor coming to the game. Everything has been very clear message-wise, and people don't seem to be all that upset at the minute. So hopefully it gets back up in the next minutes and we're back fit and firing and ready to go.
How are staff dealing with it, just quickly, Jackie, as well at the moment? Because for them, they're under pressure to try and keep things organised and under control.
Definitely. I mean, they're in good spirits, to be honest. I've seen quite a number of security guards and ushers around Marvel Stadium. They're very calm and in control, and I think the crowd is as well, to be honest, too. So I think it'll be business as usual in the next hour or so. Hopefully they can get things back up and running. And like I said, the most important thing is that the game people get to their seats in time to see the start of the game, and that we have all the technology available so that we can play the game in the most fair manner.
Yeah, and Jackie, even more important, can you get hot chips, a beer and a pie still?
Get frozen chips, Tim.
Frozen chips. That's not good news.
Well, you know what? I think they'll work it out. They definitely will. Like I said, now the shops are open and there are people in there, so I think they must be working something out now. Hopefully it's an honesty policy. Hey, I might duck in.
Good idea. Grab a scarf. Best of luck tonight with the broadcast, number one for you, but of course, hopefully it all goes well with the game. Thanks for your time.
Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Jackie Reid there from 3AW, and we appreciate her time inside Marvel Stadium, giving us a first-hand account.
Well, we had a walking trial of this about 4 years ago, didn't we? Remember we had the first round of the season to empty crowds, no pipe.
Oh, correct, yeah. I was saying it reminded me of the first round in COVID.
We're going to have a crowd. We're going to have broadcast, and if they're a little bit hungry, get some food on the way home.
It's okay.
We'll be all right.
It's all right. We'll survive, as they say.
Yep.
But, yes, I was going back there to that moment of the Y2K bug. And this was the fear around that, because you've got to say the technology knowledge back in the year 99 was nowhere near what people au fait with today. They sort of understand.
We had snake on phones and text messages. Things have changed a little bit.
At best, exactly. So it was quite scary for those that common folk.
We missed an opportunity, though, didn't we?
In what way?
We could have shorted the CrowdStrike shares, because by all reports they're not going so well.
Well, there you go. But I reckon this was the moment where we were expecting airports to close and things to happen and the like, and nothing happened.
No.
It was one of the great non-events. Now, this is probably what we were expecting, is that, and we're more vulnerable now than we were 25 years ago.
So there's a few texts coming in, and you can contribute as well. Unique homestyle food text 0448 08 1395. This person says, I paid $800 for 2 nights accommodation here opposite Marvel Stadium. no game. Well, there is a game. That's the good part.
You're lucky now.
You were freaking out there a little bit. Someone else saying there's a game on Carlton and North Melbourne on Sunday at 4:10. We were talking about what would the other options be if this game didn't go ahead.
Sunday night.
Yeah, so it might have to be a double header if they were to ever have this situation. And another one saying Laura Kane is on another radio station right now saying the ARC is working and will go ahead tonight. That's Michael from Seaton. Thank you for giving that.
That's very interesting because in 1974 they had a lot of trouble with the shark in the making of Jaws. And they used to have an announcement come out saying, the shark is working. So that's very similar. The ARC is working. All right.
Sometimes you don't need to say it, Tim.
Stacey is with us here. Warren Treadray, thanks to Ignition for Men, Timmy G and myself, Sam Tugwell, here on 5AA. You can watch us on the Foodland live stream and, of course, on 1395 AM. We're going to speak now to a expert in IT who can give us a little bit more information, Nigel Fair, who joins us on the line. Nigel, thanks for your time.
Good afternoon.
Nigel, we were talking earlier, CrowdStrike, this is a CrowdStrike issue. They've owned up. They've said, yes, this is on our end. Do you know the details of what it actually is that's happening behind the scenes at CrowdStrike and then how long it'll take to fix an issue like this?
Yeah, Stacey, it's a really good question. They'll be having a very good Chicken Little moment at the moment. Trying to work out what's happened. It appears to be a software update that's gone very, very wrong and wasn't probably tested in a pre-production environment. So I would say most organisations, I'm going to guess, and if I was a betting man, say in the next 12 hours we'll get some service, but probably full service to a lot of organisations will be more of a Monday thing.
Okay. And so we know that there's a huge list of big companies affected by this. Telstra, Optus, most of the big banks, Woolies, Coles, different media outlets, including us here at 5AA. When it is back up and running, do companies like that have to go back and look into might be a really stupid question from a layman, Nigel, so excuse me if this is not technologically advanced, but do they have to go back and look at what's happened? Did anyone get into their systems? Did any information come out of their systems? Is that even possible to go back and see that sort of information?
It will depend on the amount of logging by an organisation, but it's a really good point because the sophistication of cyber attackers is that they try and pose to be an update, or they try and, when there is an update, do something malicious along the process. So I think we'll see lots of criminals out there seeing this as an opportunity and sending out fake emails, phishing emails to organisations saying, here is a CrowdStrike update on the back of the outage. You need to, click on this link and download this now to make sure your systems are protected. So I'm thinking we're going to see a lot of that.
That's a really good point. Okay, so a little warning there for people if they receive an email from someone that looks like it's CrowdStrike, given this is a company most of us have never heard of before, don't click a link in it. I guess that's the advice?
Definitely.
Okay.
Nigel, quick one. We see it, banks, media, airports, the whole lot. What sort of litigation's coming their way? Because I would assume this is be billions upon losses just for this, 3 or 4 hours so far?
I would imagine you are absolutely correct. The lawyers will be licking their chops at this. There's fees for years in civil litigation from all those organisations that have lost not just money and customers, but reputational damage for being caught up in this.
And tell us about what that reputational damage is. Most of us hadn't heard of CrowdStrike before today. We know of Microsoft and, we know that companies have to have cyber security, but do you have any info about how big is CrowdStrike? Clearly there's a lot of companies that use their services.
Yeah, they're huge, Stacey. They're a big global US-based, listed on the NASDAQ Stock Exchange organisation with a very good, up until today, very good reputation. So lots of big organisations use them and have solidly used them for threat detection for a lot of years.
Right, and so you just you sign up, you use their services, you pay a fee, I assume, and they provide you cyber security. Is that how it works?
That's essentially how it works, and you have a degree of peace that everything will be all right.
Has there ever been any previous sort of issues? It sounds like it was an update that didn't quite go right. Has there been any previous issues prior? I presume not, given that we haven't heard of it.
No. No, there hasn't. This is a new one for a lot of people.
Yeah, right.
So what happens, obviously we've got to wait and see what happens now with CrowdStrike and the services, but as a company in the future, who's their biggest competitor? Is it like, are they a monopoly, or are there a few other companies out there doing the same thing that'll be able to swoop in?
Well, I'm hoping, not that I wish ill of CrowdStrike, but I'm hoping some other organisations take this as an opportunity. They are huge. They do have competitors, but not that many when it comes to that enterprise size. And that's always the hard part. You might be a cybersecurity professional with a great idea to compete, but you can never scale. You never get the capital behind you to scale.
All right. Well, Nigel, we really appreciate your insights this evening. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Nigel Fair there, Professor in Cybersecurity at Monash Uni. And as he mentioned, they're listed on the US Stock Exchange, the NASDAQ. It is, 4 a.m. in America, so it's now pre-market on the shares. And you pointed out earlier, traders, they're down about 12%, and the market hasn't even opened yet. I imagine that figure's going to grow before the market opens.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to cost them billions.
Yep.
It is very good to get the insight there of Nigel Fair. We right now, before we take a break, we'd like to give you the chance to win a double pass to see our Adelaide Thunderbirds. They are taking on the Melbourne Vixens tomorrow at Adelaide 36's Arena. It's a huge game for the T-Birds, and we want you to get there and support. So a double pass up for grabs. All you need to do is text in now with your name, of course, and the name of the leading goal scorer this season for your chance to win. So if you know that, 0448 08 1395. You can't have the tickets, Tim.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
All the time.
Hey, Timmy,
Your assistance beats resistance, you reckon?
Can you come and whisper in my ear? I want to.
0448 08 1395. We'll take a quick break here on 5AA. Terry McAuliffe isn't too far away. He'll give us some racing tips for the weekend, and we'll get some more news around the Adelaide Airport and some Adelaide events as well, which are happening, which may have been cancelled also. So we'll give you the latest next. This is currently 11 minutes to 6.
Are you eagerly awaiting a relocation sale to stock up on four-wheel drive and camping gear? Great news! TJM Clovelly Park have just opened their doors at their new address, 115 Sheriffs Road, Ranella. They're still clearing out heaps of ex-display stock, and everything must go. Get in quick and give the crew at TJM Nailsworth a call to find out what's up for grabs at both locations during their relocation sale on now.
She's been by your side from the beginning. You've raised a family together, supported one another's dreams, and when things got tough, you got through it together. So this anniversary or birthday, express your gratitude and love with a handmade statement jewellery piece from Bell & Brunt, a family-owned custom jeweller with over a century of experience. Celebrate your partner with Bell & Brunt, James Place, City. Visit bellandbrunt.com.au. Crafted for generations.
Audi's tender porterhouse steak is now only $5.99 for a 200-gram pack. And there's nothing better than grilling this buttery cut over an open flame. Unless it's 2 a.m., you're in the woods, and that is not good. Audi. Good different.
Experience the joy of an Italian pizzeria at home. Dr. Oetker Ristorante Pizza. With a thin and crispy crust that's topped full of flavour. Dr. Oetker Ristorante. Buy today. Enjoy tonight.
Here's some great news from Darren and Chris at AFL Transport Solutions. They've just added crane trucks on their fleet. These rigid trucks have their own crane for safe loading and unloading, perfect for the big stuff. With over 20 years of experience and over 200 vehicles in their fleet, there's plenty of rigid crane trucks on deck ready for your next delivery. Whatever the load, AFL Transport Solutions will handle your delivery safely.
Don't just send it, ace it.
Don't just send it, ace it.
It's the show that's given away over 1.6 million. And it's the show that makes dreams become real. Deal or no deal. 6 o'clock weeknights on 10 and 10 Play.
Welcome back. It's 9 minutes to 6 here on 5AA. Hopefully you're listening in and staying abreast of everything. We're trying to help you out. You can listen on 1395 AM, or we are on the Foodland live stream right now on Facebook or YouTube. If you search 5AA, you'll find us. Congratulations to Taylor, who's won the Thunderbirds tickets. She's got the correct answer. Romelda Aiken is the answer.
Romelda Aiken, George had a
of course.
great season, and
Brilliant work.
let's hope it keeps going for the finals.
Fantastic. And of course, we also know, now that we've given away that, we have Port Adelaide locker room tickets to give away.
Yes, which we normally do a little quiz on, and a bit of Timmy G music comes out, which is great, but we couldn't do that tonight.
Do you want me to do music? I can do some music.
No, usually Timmy's theme plays, doesn't it?
Timmy G.
Well, we can't bring that forward for you tonight, but what we can do, Debbie, congratulations, you've got the tickets to the locker room, because earlier in the show she said, well, I'd love to head along. Well, you know what, you ask, you can have, because it was our last night of double passes to the locker room. So Debbie, congratulations, they are all yours. Lots of things going on at the moment in terms of news. So firstly, let's just quickly update you. If you're heading out to Illuminate, which has been a very I suppose, popular event here in Adelaide over the last week or so while it's been on. So there's been some Illuminate Adelaide events cancelled. It's been come to hand that they've cancelled Friday's Fire Gardens and the Universal Kingdom, the Prehistoric Nights performances.
That's the zoo, isn't it?
That's the one at the zoo.
Yeah. So global IT outage means the tickets can't be processed there. The ones, however, that will go ahead are Eden, Super Luminal and Unsound. Those shows will go ahead. Festival organisers has asked if ticket holders can visit the venue box office at each event prior to entry as well.
And they're saying there are still walk-up ticket sales, so if you're planning on heading down and you want to risk it, it could be worth your while. It'll be treated on a case-by-case basis, how many people are in there, and if there's enough tickets available, you can walk up and buy tickets in most cases. It's the last weekend of Illuminate as well, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Although I'm not sure about the weather. We've also been giving updates from Adelaide Airport this afternoon to see how much the airport has been impacted by this. Let's get the words straight from the horse's mouth. Brenton Cox is the Managing Director of Adelaide Airport. Hi, Brenton.
Oh, good evening.
We appreciate your time. We know you're flat out. So how many flights have been affected so far?
It's more about what might be affected. So at the moment, Qantas and Virgin flights are departing, and there's just a little bit of a delay. And Jetstar is being most impacted, and they're not being cancelled yet, because even as I was waiting to come on live there, CrowdStrike have just published a global fix for this. So I think a lot of businesses are just hoping they can get that uploaded and then get their systems working. And Jetstar, for us, is the only airline that currently isn't departing, and that's because they've got a baggage system issue on the back end. So if you're flying with Jetstar, it's a pretty tough evening. And I was in the queue there. There's people looking to go to Bali, and they're just sitting there waiting. But if you're on Virgin or Qantas or Rex at the moment, those flights are currently actually taking off. So I'm just looking out at our CCTV, and it's incredibly calm, and people have been incredibly understanding. But a pretty tough evening for Jetstar travellers.
Right, okay. And so the other flights, Qantas and Virgin, you said they're taking off. Are they delayed at all, or all good to go?
Yes, look, for example, looking at a Melbourne departure at the moment, it was due to leave at 5:40. It's currently scheduled for just after 7. So, yeah, that's a reasonably large delay. And look, there's other flights, for example, even Jetstar flights aren't quite showing up as cancelled yet, but we'd expect some of those delays to cascade. But there isn't a queue in security. Everything is operating really quite nicely, except for really that Jetstar operation, unfortunately, right now. All right.
So what's the advice if someone's got a flight tonight, or I've got a sister flying in on a Jetstar flight later on, Brenton? I don't think she'll at this stage.
It's a tough gig. I think all we can say is just keep checking with your airlines. It is a live situation. I mean, clearly everyone's just hoping that the fix that has just come in with CrowdStrike will start to get many people's systems up and going, but we really can't put a timeline on how long this will take for everyone. So, keep checking online, keep checking with your airlines. And as I say at the moment, all I can say personally is that it's just Jetstar that's been impacted most right now.
Okay, so if you've got a flight tonight, you still head to the airport. Do you need to get there earlier, or anything in particular?
No special advice on that. Just check with your airline if you're unclear. I think I said, as I mentioned, all of our normal processes are working clearly unless you've got baggage with Jetstar.
All right. Thanks for your time, Brenton.
No, thanks very much.
Good
All
luck.
the best.
That's Brenton Cox, Managing Director at Adelaide Airport. And he mentioned there that CrowdStrike has just put out a global fix
So
for this issue.
Got it here in front of me at the moment. So for those who have any idea about tech, listening closely. If you don't, you can tune out for the next 60 seconds because it might sound like a lot of jargon. But basically, if hosts are still crashing and unable to stay online to receive the channel file changes, the following steps can be used to work around the issue. So it seems relatively simple because there's only 4 steps. Boot Windows into safe mode or the Windows recovery environment. The next step is navigate to the C drive, which then goes Windows, System32, drivers into the CrowdStrike directory. And then once you're in there, there's a file which matches, and it's just a bunch of numbers and letters, but it is C-50291.sys. You just have to delete that file. Once you've done that, you boot the host normally back up again, and it should be fixed. So it sounds like there's one file in there in the specific CrowdStrike directory. If you're in safe mode, you just have to navigate to and get rid of.
Okay. So can we get that information posted? Can you
Absolutely. So
send
we'll put
that
that
to
up
me?
on our Rowie and Timmy G
directly,
and 5AA social medias for those out there who need help, because that is very, very helpful indeed.
Yeah, well, I guess that means that's only been posted in the last 20 minutes or so. So hopefully there's companies getting onto that, renaming that sort of file in the C drive and rebooting, and hopefully it means they're back up.
Yeah, let's hopefully things are getting solved very quickly. The Essendon Football Club, ahead of tonight's game, just quickly have put out another statement on their Twitter. This one is saying in regards to those club apps, people are trying to get their tickets off the team app and they can't get into it at the moment. Well, they've got a temporary solution that they've implemented for those wanting to use their mobile memberships via the Essendon or Crows apps to access tonight's game. Members will be redirected from the club app to a mobile desktop site and be able to log in to access their mobile ticket. So that is yet another good development in way of the tickets at the moment. But of course, physical tickets is what they're trying to encourage.
And we've just had a statement from the Prime Minister as well, Anthony Albanese. I understand Australians are concerned about the outage that's unfolding globally and affecting a wide range of services. We're working closely with the National Cyber Security Coordinator. There is no impact to critical infrastructure, government services or 000 services at this stage. The National Coordination Mechanism has been activated and is meeting now. So that's that meeting of national cyber security. Boffins is the only word that's coming to mind.
Yeah, lovely.
The people that know what they're doing.
I think it's official.
Yep, that is the official terminology. I think they've got that on their LinkedIn profiles. They are meeting right now. The big national heads are all meeting in Canberra. The Prime Minister, though, says there is no impact to critical infrastructure or government services. And just confirming, we got in touch with the state government a short time ago as well, and they said, according to them, there's no impact to state services either.
Thank you so much, Stacey. We are just about to get to the 6 o'clock news, but before we do it, this time of Friday nights, we always make sure we check in with the one man that gives us a little bit of hope ahead of the weekend, and his name is Terry McAuliffe. He joins us now from racing.com. Tez, thank you for your time.
Pleasure, Tuggers. How are you, mate?
Oh, we're getting by tonight, but I know you and Timmy are looking forward to hopefully the races on the weekend.
Tez, I just filled out my old paper tab ticket and put on AR, and now you're going to tell me AR what race and what number and what name.
I'm going to stick with Smiling Assassin, Tim.
Oh, good.
We were with him last week, and he ran really well. I was sure he was going to win at the 200-metre mark, and he ran second, but I think he can maybe go one better tomorrow. Race 3, number 2.
Beautiful.
He was a winner the same track and distance 2 starts ago when we found him at a nice price. And my value bet is in the last. Race 9, number 16, Alpine Bow. Really good win first up. Goes really well for Sam Payne, who's riding him tomorrow. And when he won last start, he beat a horse called Scripter, which came out and won at Gawler on Wednesday. So the form around him's really strong. So they're my 2, Tim. Race 3, number 2. Race 9, number 16.
Beautiful. My winner is Adelaide Race 8, number 10, Episodic. It's running beautifully. I think it's right in the zone, ready to go again. And Adelaide Race 7, number 5, Navy Gold each way. Just a bit of each way value.
Yeah, they'll both run well. Episodic, you're right, Tim. Right in the zone. Never race better. Navy Gold for the very promising young training combination of Aaron Bain and Ned Taylor. So, yep, I think you're around the mark as well, Tim. Hopefully we've got some joy there, buddy.
Look forward to the results, Terry. Thanks very much, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Port Augusta Cup, hopefully on Sunday.
Oh,
Third time lucky.
Yes.
Yeah, third time lucky. Let's hope so,
Oh,
mate.
God, it's been postponed enough times, hasn't it?
Go Grazinga.
Lovely work. Terry McAuliffe there from racing.com with your tips for the weekend. It is 6 o'clock. It's time to check in with Mel Usher in the newsroom.
The news and information that matters. This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Good evening, Mel Usher